Good morning, dear students. Good morning to everybody. Thank you to join. Today we're going to make an explanation at the beginning regarding to the monography structure, right? The framework, the monography framework, right? Let me explain with the whiteboard regarding to the monography framework. Okay, thank you. Okay. To develop the monography, as you know, this is the structure that all of you know regarding to which is the structure, certainly. But even though I'm going to mention, right? Because some students mentioned or made the question yesterday. This is first. Good morning, Mikuya. Good morning, Ms. Hara. Sure. Okay. As you know, okay, first of all, since 90s, okay, in the world, okay, started a new era. And the era is the international standardization, right? The international standardization. What does it mean, international standardization? Okay, it means that we have to develop, or we have to, for instance, we have to get a certification that all of us, okay, as well, when we are buying any product with certain brand, okay, that product is according with certain regulation, and that product quality is the same everywhere. That's why you say global, okay? It's not that in this case that a good is best in one to one country, it works to another one. Or is it were occurring, is not fair, is not good, is not certainly according with the standard. Okay, so that's why with the globalization, this is the structure, this is the strategy that has been applied, okay, by the enterprises, by the firms. In the same sense, okay, we have to take account the services, and the services, especially professional services, they have some certain standardization. That's why nowadays in most of the universities we have to study, okay, certain courses, topics in English. Okay, why? Because we're going to interact with our colleagues from different countries in English. This is one. Second, but at the same time, our reports must be according with that standard. Which are those standards in any professional presentation, dear students? Hello?
Yes, Professor.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Mikuya. Okay, which are the standards to present any professional report?
Yes, teacher. 20.
Which are the international standards to
Um,
present any international report?
la norma APA 7.
Okay, good. This is once. APA style. Seventh edition. Okay, good. Excellent. Another one?
Introduction.
Mm. It's not complete. Could you complete it?
Would be introduction, the problem, the objectives, the hypothesis, and the conclusion.
Not
Teacher,
exactly.
It will be the classic full structure, and the examples that made my partner. That includes the introduction, discussion, conclusion, recommendation, the methods,
You
something
have
like
the
that.
idea, but the exactly name.
Teacher, the índice, el índice.
No, 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 no. The structure. The structure. The structure name. This is standard, international standard. Your classmate.
The introduction, body, conclusion.
I by the introduction. M by method. R by results. And D by discussion. Method IMRD. Clear, the students?
Yes, teacher.
Yes, teacher.
Okay. You, all of you, as a professional, must know that your reports, the international standard is that you must apply APA style to citations, tables, figures, okay, and references. Okay? Clear, dear students?
Yes, teacher.
Teacher.
Oh,
Yes,
okay.
teacher.
Okay. In this case, okay, citations, for instance, citations, as you know, exist two, direct and indirect. Okay. How a professor realize that, for instance, example, and a student is applying for instance, the AI. Very easy. Document comprises at all indirect citation, no one direct citation. Very easy. Okay. So your document to be considered professional must include direct citations. As much, better. As much means good, right? Clearly, students?
Yes, teacher.
Yes, teacher.
Okay. And what does it mean, direct citation? What does it mean, direct citations?
It is when we copy the exact words from a source and inside of quotation marks, and we include the author, the year, and the page number.
Okay, yeah. You include the author, the year, and the page number. Very good. So this is a direct citation, and it exists two direct citations, short and long. Short with quotations, long with an independent paragraph. Okay. Okay, and without quotation, but in this case you have to include a tab, and with that tab you could include, whether the beginning or the ending, the three most important data. First, author, year, and page number. Okay, clear, students?
Yes, professor.
Okay, good. This is related to, and then introduction. The introduction certainly is going to be disaggregated in different parts, right? The introduction comprises, at the beginning, you have to describe the problem. Why is called a problem? Because we, as a professionals, we are going to focus, we're going to study, we're going to analyze certain specific problem, right? So that's why you're going to get the first problem statement. Clear, students?
Yes, professor.
Yes, teacher.
Okay, thank you. And problem statement comprises the description. Descriptions, since general into particular, since global into local, since continental into local, depend on the context. Have to describe, because it's why, which is the idea, contribute with your analysis and solution to the society. That's why it's a problem common. Okay, this is that common problem. Okay, is going to be analyzed by researchers, right? So that's why problem statement is going to be, and then you have to substantiate problem statement with data, historical data, right? And within your analysis description must be using keywords based on certain theory, okay? This is the description. Right? Based on certain theory. So using keyword theory. And in addition, data. Okay. No keyword theory, no data, no problem statement. Clear?
Yes, Professor.
Okay, thank you. Let's be clear. In that sense, what does it mean? Okay, some cases and review problem statement. For instance, just to mention, maybe pollution. When they said, okay, the river pollution in Peru sees many river pollution, so they are affecting the population. So this is an important problem to be analyzed. Okay, by this monography. There's nothing. Yeah, we know that exists river pollution. Question has to be substantiated. What kind of specific pollution? Okay, oh, but chemical. Okay, chemical. What kind of chemical? What kind of chemical products? Which is the percentage? Where's with the worst situation? Okay, so you have to describe. Okay, that's the idea regarding to the problem statement. Otherwise, it will be a prejudge. It will be a prejudge, and we can make a prejudge. Okay, we have to support our analysis with data, our description with data, right? The problem formulation which referred to the problem formulation, it referred to the questions, okay? So, the idea about the questions is based on a diagnosis, okay? It's going to be a diagnosis. Based on this diagnosis, you're going to make a questions, a general question and a specific questions. Is recommended no more than 3. Okay, no more than 3. Okay, this is a kind of diagnosis. Okay, clear, dear students?
Yes, teacher.
Yes, teacher.
Okay. Later, you could, in this case, make a description regarding to the theme justification. And the themes justification, okay, themes justification, okay, this idea about it, that themes justification is going to let you identify who are going to be the beneficiaries about that kind of analysis. Okay, identify as well the beneficiaries. Beneficiaries are two, direct and indirect. Okay, clear, students?
Clear, teacher.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
Thank you.
teacher.
Later, you have to get the literature review. In this case, literature review is regarding to a brief explanation, okay, regarding to the basic bibliography. Understand the bibliography by two. Bibliography just by books and papers. From journals. Okay, books and papers from journals. Okay. In that sense, you can get the information by your InfoSeal. Okay, and you know, you can get access to the, for instance, ProQuest. You can seek some information, okay, regarding to certain topic. Could you give me an idea regarding to certain topic? Who's making some monography? Okay, what kind of monography are you proposing? Okay. Okay. In this case, yes. Here, water supply and sanitation in developing countries, because we belong to the developing countries. Yeah, good. Okay, in this case, maybe just papers from a scientist review. Okay. Here you are going to get many documents. Clear, dear students?
Yes, professor.
Okay.
Yes,
For
teacher.
instance, okay, here you have some information, economic aspects of sanitation in developing countries. Even though that this is 2011, but it is, okay, another one. Here you have the global cost benefit analysis. Okay. Another one. Okay, you can, in this case, you can here modify, filter the information. They say the latest 10 years. And then generated from the latest 10 years. Okay, dear students? This is a professional information collected. okay, from trustable data sources as well. ProQuest. Clear, dear students?
Yes, teacher.
Yes, teacher.
Okay. Less than 1 minute, I have many trustable information. Okay. So that's why I'm going to check the team. 3 students, 4 students. Okay. 3 students, for instance, maybe 4 sources for different per each student means at least 12. At least, not just 3, 4. No relevant newspaper. No relevant newspaper. No relevant any review. Okay. No. In this case, scientist review journals. Okay. They are the most important. You could include some or maybe local documents, maybe they are included. You could include, yes, but that's just the minority, not at all. Right? Clear, dear students?
Yes, professor.
Okay, thank you. And now, regarding to the after this, okay, you are going to write the objectives, okay? The objectives. The objectives, you're going to get 2, general and the specifics. And the objectives means that you're going to state, just identify the problem scope that you are not going to analyze maybe the whole country, but we're going to focus in the in Peruvian regions with the worst situation. For instance, extreme poverty. You're going to focus just maybe in 5 regions, not at all. So it means you state which is your research scope, right? So the objectives is regarding to your scope. Analysis scope. Regarding to the field. Regarding to the location. Regarding to the time. Okay. Clear, the students?
Yes, professor.
Okay, thank you. And finally, hypothesis. In this case, hypothesis certainly, maybe it could be controversial, but usually hypothesis is when you're going to be demonstrated certain specific problem. So in this case, it means that you have to verify with data, okay, substantiate and discuss with data, usually by a strong statistic analysis and or econometrics analysis. But by basic, okay, and basic statistic analysis, you don't need hypothesis. Hypothesis is when you're going to demonstrate, you're going to discuss, we're going to argue, okay, regarding certain circumstances. Okay, so in that sense, due to this is a monography, it's like an essay. Technically, you don't need hypothesis. Hypothesis is when you're going to substantiate why do you think that's the problem. Okay? Clear, dear students?
Yes, teacher.
Yes, teacher.
Sure.
Okay. It's going to be general and specifics. Okay? Not to essays. This is regarding to introduction. Any question, any doubt?
No, Professor, it's clear.
Okay, thank you. Who made the question yesterday? Yosmel Poma. Are you there? Yosmel. Yes, Miss Oviedo.
Profesor, ¿sería posible que nos pase el link de la pizarra, por favor, para descargar el formato que nos dijo?
Sí, está bien, pero ahorita ya. Solamente déjeme terminarlo. Ok. Está bien. Ya. Muy bien. Está bien. Se lo voy a pasar. Okay. This is the first one regarding to introduction. Will you say method? Okay. The method applies how are we going to substantiate any problem. And then that's why it's important to get data, but official data, not any data. Official. Okay, especially from primary sources. That's the idea. Okay. Regarding to the problem formulation, okay. And then with method applies that you have to substantiate and analyze, okay, the certain specific problem, okay, based on what does it mean? How are you going to demonstrate your analysis? How? Okay, are going to get some official data, okay. But another question, which are the variables you have to explain here? Okay, method first, which are the variables that you are going to use to make your analysis, which are the variables. Okay, you said, okay, variables are such as in this case, maybe you were trying to That's why in some cases, some students try to analyze, okay, professor, I'm going to analyze the informality question. How is going to be studied the informality? Which are the variables that are going to use in our analysis? Exists some data? Where? That's the point. What kind of informality? By firms, by job, labor informality, which of them? Okay, so you have to choose the variables according with the specific, okay, problem identified, right? Second, usually exist certain discussion theories. So you have to analyze and compare, okay, how has been analyzed by previous authors, okay, why the same problem has been discussed by certain authors. Maybe traceability, maybe about how have been described certain specific problem. For instance, the poverty exists an evolution in its definition. This is the definition, are you sure? Because exists certain historical evolution regarding to the poverty definition. Monetary, non-monetary, multi-dimension. Which of them? Okay. For instance, the perfect competition, most of our theory is based on perfect competition market. But nowadays, our global context is based on imperfect competition market, not by perfect. So that's why in some models, they have certain limitation. Okay, that's a problem. Another one, regarding to the description, okay, which are the variables, reviewing the theory, especially the concepts, okay, concept variables are linked, okay, and later, how is going to process your data. For instance, time series, or just by comparison, statement with two different periods, cohort analysis, what kind? Okay. And then you have to describe the analysis planning. Which means how is going to be processed by the team. One is going to get the bibliography, and what are you going to get the bibliography? Okay, make a summary, identify the main concepts, or maybe some topics to be discussed. Okay, that's the idea. Okay, methods, results. Which is the analysis. Technical, this is an analysis. And this analysis must be according with the based on objective and or hypothesis. The order is going to be based on objective and or hypothesis. Okay, the analysis. Based on objective. In your case, maybe just by objectives are enough. Okay. And the discussion, in this case, the analysis is going to be based on usually on tables. Okay. Tables. Mainly with tables and figures. Okay. And discussion is, in this case, means your analysis. Okay, you have to make a comparison between literature review, specific literature review, mean authors, a relationship with your analysis. Question. The same or are different, right? And they are different. Why? Clear, dear students?
Yes, teacher.
Yes,
Yes, teacher.
Teacher. And finally, conclusions and references. No, sorry. Conclusions, recommendations. And finally, references. And some cases, annexes. Long tables, you could make a summary and the short could be on the report and the detailing information on annexes. Clear, dear students?
Yes, teacher.
That's a really professional report. Okay. Sexto. Mm. Ok, dear students, here you are.
Thank you, teacher.
Mm. No, it's a great satisfaction contribute with all of you because the idea about with this course objective is that you realize that you are going to compete nowadays. All of us, as well you and me, are competing in the global context, and you have to demonstrate that we are ready to discuss as a professionals, that we know where to get the information from official for specialized database as well, PROQUIS, IPSCO, etc. That's why on InfoSeals you're going to have the access. On bibliography, the bibliography you can get from the um, uh, from the library, right? Ok. En esta primera parte hemos explicado, que también es parte del curso, entender el contexto que estamos viviendo. Desde 1990 empezó un proceso llamado liberalización y a partir de 1996, ya prácticamente a partir de este milenio, el contexto se ha convertido global. ¿Y qué significa eso? Que los criterios son universales. Si tú estudias en cualquier universidad, todas aplican el mismo criterio. ¿Okay? ¿Esto qué significa? ¿No? Que los reportes, los informes tienen que tener la misma estructura. No es que yo quiero así o no, tiene que adaptarse a esa estructura. Y lo primero que hay que entender, por eso les digo, es saber hacer citas. ¿No? Nadie te dice, nadie te niega la opción de que leas un documento, pero cítalo. ¿Por qué? Porque al no citarlo y hacerlo como tuyo, estás plagiando el documento. Y eso no es aceptado. Desde 1996 se ha convertido en el derecho de propiedad, es parte del derecho de propiedad intelectual. Y por lo tanto, ¿no? Riesgo de piratería, que a su vez es considerado desde aquella época un delito. Entonces, cuando yo exijo a mis estudiantes, no es por fastidiarlos, no es porque me crea la última Coca-Cola en el desierto, no es porque quiero ver sufrir a mis estudiantes. Lo que yo quiero es que entiendan que en este contexto, si tú no sabes usar esas herramientas, pues lo primero que van a hacer es, uno, te eliminan y dos, te empapelan. Entonces, si no son conscientes de los riesgos que están asumiendo, entonces, discúlpeme, no son profesionales. ¿Ok? Entonces, por eso lo hago. Por eso les preciso. No, tengan cuidado, etcétera. Por eso. ¿Entienden, jóvenes?
Sí,
Sí,
profesor.
profesor.
¿Mm? Ok. Entonces, la regla universal ahora es que yo tengo que hacer citas directas, mencionar a ese autor, Nadie te niega. Por eso cuando yo doy los quizzes, ¿quieres leer? Lee, pero cítalo. ¿Por qué lo haces como tuyo? Eso en el mundo profesional es plagio y eso implica acción civil y acción penal. En la universidad implica inclusive acción administrativa. Bueno, es cuestión, no. Esto, si yo fuera un profesor cascarrabias, posiblemente esto lo reporto y que se vayan al tribunal, que lo suspendan un año. Yo entiendo que muchos de ustedes todavía no les han explicado el contexto que estamos viviendo. Y este curso es para que se entienda eso, ¿no? Entonces, yo por eso trato de poco a poco modificar ese comportamiento y se conviertan en profesionales competentes. ¿Ok? Todavía veo que algunos no han entendido, menos mal que son menos que la primera vez, ¿no? Pero piano, piano, seguiremos. ¿Ok? Pero quiero que entiendan por qué lo hago. ¿Ok? Entonces, el contexto implica que nuestro trabajo intelectual, quiere decir, ¿por qué? Porque todos nosotros, por ganarnos desde un dólar, bueno, no vamos a cobrar un dólar, pero no, ¿por qué nos van a pagar más en nuestro sueldo, sea la moneda que quieras? ¿Por qué nos van a pagar? Por la calidad de nuestros trabajos, por la autenticidad de nuestros trabajos. No somos capaces de hacerlo eso, ni nos contratan, ni nos reconocen, y menos nos pagan. Así de simple. ¿Ok? Entonces, por eso es que es importante que desde ahora, en realidad esto debería hacerse desde el primer ciclo, los estudiantes sepan hacer referencias, lista de referencias, ¿no? Entender lo que es el APA. El APA, y muchos, por ejemplo, y cómo se da cuenta uno también, ¿no? De que un trabajo es producto de inteligencia artificial, por ejemplo. Fácil. Referencias tiene como 20 referencias. Y cuando lee el contenido solamente se han citado 5. Ya, ahí nomás ya cayó. ¿Por qué? Fácil. Porque, ¿qué dice la norma APA? La norma APA dice que se refiere, o sea, se pone en la lista el libro que está citado. Si no está citado, no hay por qué ponerlo. Solamente los que están citados. Entonces, un estudiante pone 20 y en su contenido solamente hay 5, 3, 2. Eso no es, pues. Significa que viéndolo positivamente sin calificativo demasiado drástico, no conoce el APA. O, ya en caso extremo, está aplicando IA y no sabe ni siquiera lo que está utilizando. En ambos casos no sabe APA. Y por eso te van a evaluar. Entonces, o sea, te das cuenta. Entonces, cuando presentes un trabajo en tu oficina, en la que te contraten, la persona con experiencia se va a dar cuenta. Así de simple. ¿Está claro, jóvenes? Muy bien. Gracias. Entonces, conclusión. A ver, vamos a ver como conclusión. Por ejemplo, Rosa Amelia Adriansen Hidalgo. ¿Ok? ¿Cuáles son los estándares para la presentación de los trabajos profesionales? Ese es otro problema también acá. Y es el problema de la virtualidad. Renzo Soto, Renzo Alberto Soto Ramírez. Renzo Soto. Sí, un momentito, Bárbara. Vibrazzi, un momentito. Renzo Soto. Walter Palomino.
Yes, teacher.
Could you answer, dear students? Dear student, ¿puede responder?
Disculpe, profesor, justo me fui a los servicios cuando había hecho la pregunta. ¿La podría volver a repetir, por favor?
Me encantaría, pero estamos ya cerrando. Es una conclusión. A ver, señorita, gracias por su participación. Señorita Bárbara,
Letra Times New Roman, tamaño 12, interlineado 1.5.
ok, ya, pero eso es para eh, la presentación de los trabajos. Sí, está bien, pero todos esos detalles, ¿dónde están comprendidos? Brad, sí.
En la introducción, métodos, resultados y discusión, y también era en el APA, los dos estándares que debíamos incluir para el trabajo.
Más está en uno.
Ah, ya,
Ya,
el, bueno, ya, el IMRD, creo que sí era.
a ver, mira. Ya. Esto se lo deben saber al revés y al derecho, ¿ya? Todo esto está en lo primero, las normas APA. Los estándares son dos en forma estricta. Las normas APA que contienen la estructura y MRD hace referencia, por su caso. La estructura de MRD, pero acá está referenciada nada más. ¿Ya? Y aquí se va a referir los detalles de la presentación, como su compañero lo ha dicho, ¿no? La parte del tamaño, el margen, ¿no? Su compañera hormonal, ¿no? El tamaño, el tipo de letra, etcétera, ¿no? Ya, todo eso también está en la norma APA, ¿no? Y cita, referencias, etcétera, ¿no? Entonces, eso está regulado aquí. ¿Ok? Y la estructura IMRD, ¿no? Es ya el detalle que debe contener el documento, que es lo que he explicado hoy día. Entonces, los estándares son, ¿cuáles son? Isbratsi,
Yes, teacher.
¿cuáles son los estándares?
El del APA y el Introduction Method Result Discussion.
Yes, IMRD, by its abbreviation. Sí, está bien. Algunos lo dicen lo mismo, pero solamente sus abreviaturas. IMRD Extractor. IMRD Framework. ¿Ok? Los estándares internacionales bajo los cuales deben estar sus trabajos son en base a las normas APA que regulan la forma del documento y la estructura, ¿no? IMRD, Introduction, Result, Discussion, Introduction, Method, Result and Discussion, ¿ok? Que regula la estructura o contenido del informe, ¿ok? ¿Está claro, jóvenes?
Sí,
Sí,
profesor.
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 Ok, gracias. Entonces, cuando hablamos de trabajos, ¿no? Entonces, ok. Ok, exacto, señor Estrada. Muy bien. Esa es la idea. Entonces, eso es lo esencial. O sea, yo tengo que saber eso. Cuando, este, por ejemplo, cuando va usted a una cita médica, ¿no? En primer lugar, ¿el médico es un profesional, sí o no?
Sí, profesor.
Muy bien. Ahora, cuando usted va a visitar al médico, ¿cuáles son las características comunes que usted ha identificado entre los médicos? Todas las características comunes que encuentre usted, que ha encontrado. Cuando va a un consultorio, ¿qué de común tienen los médicos?
La mayoría son personas calmadas y son higiénicos.
Ok, muy bien. Otra característica,
¿Tienen una presentación profesional?
ok. ¿Qué tipo de presentación?
Bata, credencial, su higiene.
Ok,
Y tiene
mayormente de algún color,
blanco, ¿no?
claro, ¿no? Y generalmente es un saco blanco, ¿no? Entonces, generalmente, hoy en día a veces, eh, eh, bueno, los jóvenes son los jóvenes, pero mayormente en los consultorios el estándar es que el médico está vestido, doctor o doctora, te das cuenta porque está vestido con un saco blanco, que justamente, como dijo tu compañera, ¿no? Revela también la higiene, ¿no? El cuidado, la limpieza que tiene, ¿no? Entonces, este médico profesional, ¿no es cierto?, tiene esa característica formal, ¿no? Ok, muy bien. ¿Qué más? ¿Qué más podemos observar al cliente? En el médico, ¿qué más hace? Ok, ¿qué es lo que...
Hace preguntas sobre nuestros síntomas, antecedentes y los medicamentos que hemos tomado.
¿Y qué hace con esos, con ese, en- con tus respuestas?
Da un diagnóstico.
Va a hacer un diagnóstico, claro, pero ¿qué hace con lo que tú le estás hablando?
Arma una historia clínica o clasifica los síntomas.
Escribe los datos que tú le estás dando. Todo lo que tú dices lo está convirtiendo en datos. Y esos datos los registra en una historia clínica. Y con esa historia clínica va a hacer un diagnóstico. ¿Sí? Pero tiene un método, ¿no? ¿Cómo llega a ese diagnóstico? Solamente por lo que tú le has contado, solamente porque lo que tú le dijiste te dice, estás enfermo de tal cosa.
No, también por las pruebas que tienes que hacer, eso es lo que el doctor te manda hacer.
Hay pruebas, te va a tomar la presión, de repente la temperatura, ¿no? De repente también va a pedir ciertos análisis, ¿no es cierto? Son pruebas para demostrar su hipótesis, ¿no? Con todos los datos hace su formulación del problema. Con todos los datos, ¿será que este paciente tiene un problema de un malestar estomacal o es apendicitis? Tengo que descartar. Entonces, inclusive lo va a hacer que se eche en la camilla y de repente va a verificar. Entonces, en primer lugar, y algo esencial, El médico te observa, nadie lo ha mencionado, te empieza a observar cómo reaccionas, qué dices, cómo lo dices. Y además te prueba, hace algunas pequeñas pruebas, ¿no? ¿No? Para verificar, sea, por ejemplo, si es un tema estomacal, entonces quiere verificar, o sea, descarta, no es apendicitis, es un malestar estomacal, de acuerdo a los alimentos, de acuerdo a la información que tú me has dado, ¿no? Entonces, esto con estas pastillas. Si el malestar persiste, vienes. Listo, punto. O de repente diagnostica y dice, no, este es un problema urgente, lo siento, no te puedo decir. Te tengo que operar ahorita porque si no se convierte en peritonitis. Ahorita tengo que operarte. Entonces, ya, enfermera, por favor, proceda, qué sé yo. Es que está haciendo un diagnóstico. ¿En base a qué? A datos. ¿En base a qué? A pruebas que hace. Esas pruebas en ustedes son los análisis de las tablas, análisis de los datos que ustedes tienen que obtener para procesar la información. ¿Ok? ¿Se entiende, jóvenes?
Sí, profesor.
Sí.
Profesor.
Sí, profesor.
Entonces, la formulación del problema es como en este caso, como un diagnóstico. ¿Será que este es el problema central? El objetivo es para delimitar mejor, ¿no? El objetivo es como cuando el médico dice, ojo, veo que acá la cosa está un poco complicada, ¿no? Entonces, como no has venido antes, esto se te ha complicado. Yo solamente voy a ver aquí el problema estomacal, pero veo que acá hay problemas nutricionales. Entonces, te recomiendo que vayas al nutricionista, ¿ok? Porque no debiste llegar a esto, ¿no? Entonces, quiere decir que tienes un problema con algún tipo de alimentos. Entonces, de aquí te mando al especialista. Entonces, yo solamente voy a ver la parte médica, clínica, desde el punto de vista de gastroenterología. No voy a ver el tema nutricional, ese es otro. ¿Qué está haciendo? Delimitando el objetivo. ¿Está más claro, estimados estudiantes?
Sí, profesor.
Sí, profesor.
Muy bien. Entonces, y una vez que llega, ¿no? Lo procesa, hace el resultado, evalúa, después por eso es que generalmente te dice, vuelves de acá a 15 días para evaluar. Entonces ve los resultados, te vuelve a verificar y dice, sí, ya está todo conforme, no hay problema. Ahora sí, ya estás muy bien, ¿no? Entonces, después de la operación te dice, tienes que venir para hacerte tus chequeos y todo. Allá sí, la está cicatrizando muy bien, no tienes problema. Ha sido apendicitis con la paroscópica, estos tres puntitos se te van a desaparecer, sí, ya quedaste bien, haz tu actividad normal. Perfecto. ¿Qué está haciendo? Está haciendo, analizando los resultados, ¿no? Entonces, llega a los resultados que explica, que obtuvo, que identificó el problema de la apendicitis, que aplicó el método de la paroscópica y que como resultado de la operación, el resultado fue satisfactorio. Se cumplió con el proceso de cicatrización, previo descanso médico del paciente de tantos días, punto. Y se cierra la historia. Entonces, a partir de ahí ya tenemos unas conclusiones. La conclusión es que el tratamiento del paciente ha sido un tratamiento regular como todos los pacientes, sin complicaciones. ¿Qué es eso? La discusión. Pero si hubo una complicación, ahí entra de la discusión. ¿Por qué hubo una complicación? Porque el paciente tiene un problema de repente con algún otro malestar, otro mal. No necesariamente grave, pero puede haber una complicación. ¿Ok? Se va entendiendo, jóvenes, lo que es la estructura y cómo ustedes deben presentar. Pero lo que quiero mencionar es que, ese es un detalle importante, así como tú identificas al médico por la forma como se expresa, la forma como te pregunta, la forma como él mismo se presenta, ¿no? También a nosotros lo van a evaluar así, por la forma como presentamos nuestros trabajos, la forma como decimos y comunicamos nuestros informes. Entonces, siempre, incluso en tus tesis, ¿qué se evalúa? El contenido y la forma. Por eso es importante que aprendas el método de desarrollo de un trabajo de investigación, que esa es la forma, ¿ok? Nadie ha visto un médico que esté, pues, qué sé yo, con vincha, con su ropa de deporte, ¿no? En un consultorio. El médico está vestido formalmente. Entonces, la formalidad también tiene su hoja clínica, tiene su recetario, ¿no? Etcétera. Son procedimientos. Recetarios son las recomendaciones. Entonces, un profesional que no da recomendaciones no es profesional. ¿Te das cuenta? Entonces, la pregunta es, ¿dónde están tus recomendaciones? Ya encontraste el problema, ya, ya sabemos qué es el problema y ¿qué hacemos? Tus recomendaciones. ¿Está más claro con este análisis, estimados estudiantes?
Sí, profesor, está más claro.
Listo. Me apena, eso sí, que varios estudiantes no están conectados con el curso. Bueno, yo ya cumplí. Bien. Vamos a hacer, ¿no? Ya les pasé, ¿no? Sí, ya les pasé. Bien. Ok. The last session, we've been explaining about the context that was happening between 1960s until 1990s. Okay. In that context, approximately in 1960s, okay, started a process that it was called closed economy. Okay, closed economy. In that time, all the countries were trying to protect, to create their own industry, because previous to this period, the whole countries, okay, were considered the developed countries, especially the group of seven and developing countries. No, in that time, 1950s, 1960s, 1990s, we were called underdeveloped countries. That's the problem. In that time, we used to be considered underdeveloped countries. Okay. So they say, okay, we are developed. Even though that it wasn't mentioned in the development. So even though that nobody was clearly what's the really meaning of developed countries, they took the denomination, we are developing countries. Okay. You are developed countries. But what does it mean, developed countries? In that time, it was understood that there were developed countries due to they have their industry. and usually underdeveloped countries were just raw material provider. That's why the usual this one used to have higher income. Their income is higher, and income was lower. So given that definition, some analysts there conclude, oh, so it means that if we pretend to get higher income, we should create our own industry. That it was the solution given in that time. Okay, so they say, oh, if we pretend to become into developing country, we should create the local industry. That's why in that time, during this period, closed economy, there were created their local industry. It was promoted a local industry. And especially in Latin America and Caribbean countries, okay, it was used a model which it was called the import substitution model. Okay. The idea is to create a local industry to compete with foreign industry. Okay. The local industry that should compete with the local industry, right? Clear? And then, but due to this local industry, it was really an infant industry. Then we had to protect, because of protectionism, through the tariffs. Okay, and in that time, it was, okay, like 95. It was technically it was founded in 1944. 1944. It was a period where you success the general agreement rate and tariff. Okay. Oh. So that's why, what does it mean? All the countries were clear that it was common, that all the policymakers were agreed that every country should have their own local industry. And at the same time, protect the local industry based on tariffs. Okay. But the problem here is that, okay, some industries as well, first, it used to see the private and public enterprises. And then, okay, idea is that they were receiving the tariff, or the tariffs at the ending, it was based especially on public firms, but in both cases, were private and public firms, they were promoting an efficiency. And that's an efficiency, as meaning higher cost. That higher costs were meaning higher inflation. And that's why in all the countries it used to exist an inflation. And in addition to finance, okay, in this case, tariffs and the another problem, I forgot another one, to mention another one, the subsidies. Especially these subsidies created a problem. And in this case, these subsidies, okay, were implying the increasing the fiscal deficit. And in addition, to keep these prices, it was applying certain, due to the inflation, it was started to increase the government apply the market regulation. By the government. What does it mean? To take control of fixed prices, even though there were inflation. At the ending, this story, okay, was occurring, okay, sure, in this case, as a consequence, okay, used to exist, that's certainly a shortage, okay. So were occurring an imbalance due to the quantity demanded was higher than quantity supply. Okay, and in this case occur, and the inflation started to increase more. Plus, consequence, real GDP decrease. And the worst is that they didn't consider is that they say import substitution model. But the machinery and intermediate goods okay, were imported. Which at the same time is prices, but those imported goods started to increase. Therefore, there were needed more subsidies. As a consequence, okay, the fiscal deficit overcome any limit and the inflation was increasing, okay, too much, including more than 2 digits, 3 digits, okay, it was common in all the countries, okay. That was the problem in that time. Consequently, in Peru, the situation was worse because in addition, okay, the Peruvian government, the central bank issued the inorganic emission, also they were issuing money without any backup because we didn't have international reserves. So the imported goods at the same time were meaning that the international reserves decrease quite the same than zero. So that's why I started the hyperinflation. That it was the context that it was occurring in that time. Okay, when the government overcome its limit, its size, okay, its functions, they are creating a great problem, inflation. Okay, and we don't have any control, they're going to become hyperinflation. First, if we don't make any limit, is going to come. In effect, is going to be the lower economic growing. Okay, the GDP, real GDP, would decrease, and the international, in this case, and then inflation. That's a problem. Some of these policies, even though that is real, is true that the society was too affected by those measures, we are repeating those mistakes. Clear, dear students?
Yes, teacher.
Teacher.
Okay.
Yes, teacher.
Okay, so today we're explaining the context, the close economic context, okay, that it was considered within this period. It was the explanation regarding to the context and the reason why it was applied the first generation reforms. The first generation reforms that we're going to analyze tomorrow is going to be regarding to the government size reduction. So when Milei president was expressing, we're going to reduce the ministry. Yes, that measures were applied all over, no in Argentina, no in Peru, everywhere, and all over the world, were applied in 1990s. That's why it's crazy that we're making the same mistakes. We are not learning about the economic history. That's a problem. Okay, dear students. We're going to see you tomorrow, okay? And then, okay, I would like to, in this case, first of all, that you could, in this case, participate more within this course. We participate more. That's why the next session we're going to consider your participation, even though I know that usually you are 3 students that are participating mainly during the session. Okay, but it will be better that most of you participated. Okay, but this is your own decision. Okay, Ms. Mikuyan, I want to send it. Okay. Okay, thank you, students. Thank you very much. Okay, see you tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you, teacher.
Bye,
See you
teacher.
tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Bye, dear students.